trade has happened, and if you're a baseball fan right now, you gotta be ecstatic because this has been a long, laborious, boring offseason, that's for damn sure. But the Cubs and the Marlins have swooped in and finalized the trade for starting pitcher Edward Cabrera. Now, he put together a 3.53 ERA last year, and he has 3 years left of control on his contract. And first blush reaction is that it just makes all the sense in the world for both squads, given their lot in the sport right now and what they needed and their access to other avenues to improve their squads. But first, I'll obviously have to preface with the fact that as of recording this right now, I have no idea who's going back to Miami in the deals. Obviously, it's contingent a lot on whether Owen Casey was involved or who else, if there was any big names, major league wise or otherwise, heading back to the Marlins. But going back off the premise, because I'll strongly surmise that it'll just be a couple of top position player prospects, because that's what Miami desperately needs, and I would also assume that Casey will not be involved, as he's as highly touted of a position player prospect as there is in the sport right now, and that would be a bit rich for me if I'm the Cubs, giving him up. Plus, if they lose Kyle Tucker, which they probably will, he would be a seamless transition to replace Tucker. So judging it based on the sole assumption that the trade is Cabrera for 2 to 3 top position player prospects in the Cubs system, a la first baseman Jonathan Long, outfielder Kevin Alcantara, and infielder Pedro Ramirez, this would be a win-win trade in my opinion. First, from the Cubs' perspective, they have been scrounging for pitching for years, as you know, to supplement Justin Steele. To back that sentiment up, without Cabrera, the rotation heading into this season would be Justin Steele, who's projected to return in the summer, Shota and Managa, who tailed off tremendously at the end of the year, finishing with a 3.8, where the first half he was toiling around 2 the entire year, Matthew Boyd, Cade Horton, and Jameson Taillon. Those names are not exactly making opposing offenses tremble with fear, and when you're in the division with the Reds, who look like they're on the precipice of honestly breaking through with as talent rich as they are, and the Pirates, who, say what you want, will be better with the additions offensively of Ryan Hearn and Brandon Lau, and of course they have a chance to absolutely destroy you every 5th day with Paul Skeens. And don't sleep on Jared Jones and the upcoming infusion that will take place by way of Bubba Chandler. So when you're in a division with that might pass you by if you don't make any moves and spend some money, you've got to make a move for a starter, especially when you'll almost assuredly see a downtick in run production when you lose Kyle Tucker. And we all love Michael Busch, but can we really count on him having another season of a WRC plus of 140 again? Most likely not. Listen, WRC, wait, I don't know, but WRC, average is 100, alright, that's all you need to know. I don't know what it means either, but 140 is very, very good. So if you're not going to score as much, adding a nasty arm and Cabrera obviously helps mitigate the lack of run production. Now, from the Marlins perspective, I think it's a little bit even more interesting than the Cubs perspective, because of the cursory review from the novice baseball fan, they're going to look at this deal and just roll their eyes while simultaneously saying, same old Marlins. All they do is trade their good players as soon as they're about to hit arbitration or free agency. But in this case, that's way too much of an oversimplification, in my opinion. First off, just from a pure baseball point of view, not even a business transaction perspective, this trade just encapsulates the term selling high. As many platitudes as you want to shout at me of how good Cabrera was, and he was, but it was his first year in his career pitching over 100 innings. It was his first year with a sub-4 ERA, and it was his first where his walk rate just was not exorbitant. You could easily support the Marlins' decision here if you don't think he'll replicate what he just did, and even if he does, if you don't think he'll get better, and he essentially plateaued last season, and he probably will continue to go on and off the IL as he's done his entire career for 4 years. Also, for as decrepit as you may think that the Marlins are, they finished just 4 games out of the playoffs last year and have more pitching depth than almost any team in the big leagues. Even with this trade, they still have under contract Sandy Alcantara, Yuri Perez, Ryan Weathers, Max Meyer, Braxton Garrett, as well as 21-year-old lefty, top 20 prospect in the game, Thomas White, lurking. So if my assertion is right, and the couple pieces the Marlins got back are top position player prospects, and they produce this year, it's a tremendous trade for Miami, who's in dire need of some offense, and they could replace Cabrera's innings. So yes, the Cubs needed to make a big swing for a pitcher, and if they felt going to the trade market as opposed to shelling out big money to either Ranger Suarez or Framber Valdez in free agency, if they thought this would be the better route, then the Cubs fans should be satisfied. However, I also feel comfortable in saying that the Marlins could absolutely make out pretty well in this deal, even if Cabrera sustains last year's production, which is no short thing by any means.
Help me polarize, help me polarize, help me down.
If you like this video, consider commenting, liking, sharing with a friend, and subscribing.